So I first came to Patna a year ago in February. At the time I was working in London as a project manager, pretty stressed out. Even though I began my yoga journey about 12 years ago with my very first class, it was only 3 years ago that I became a teacher with my first teacher training somewhere in Thailand. And I'd really kind of not pursued that as much as I would have liked to. So when I got a little bit burnt out through work and I was feeling fairly stressed and hadn't been as dedicated to my practice as I would have liked, then I came here to Patna, or India actually in general. I wasn't planning on staying, came to India in search of reconnecting with my practice. And after a few days I met Kranti and I discovered the shala here and I began practicing, and on the first day I think was Kranti's famous backbending sequence, and up until that point I'd been a few different places doing some nice gentle hatha classes, and as an Ashtanga, I like the dynamic practice, I like to be pushed, and I was getting a bit fed up. And after that first day I came to Kranti's backbending class and I was like, wow, what was that? Did not know what had hit me, and I was completely hooked. So I signed up for a 1 week intensive, and at the end of that week I signed up for a second week and let my friends disappear, go off traveling elsewhere. I stayed, and it was a short trip, so it was only 6 weeks, and I ended up staying here the whole time. The end of that trip, then I decided I had to come back for longer. So I went home, I packed up my life in London. I decided that really yoga was the path for me that I needed to pursue, and I wanted to really continue my studies, particularly with Kranti. I found something here I hadn't found somewhere else. My first teacher training was with a Western teacher who I love, and I'll always be so grateful for everything that I was taught at that school. But I found something different here because I was learning from Indian teachers and from someone that's really lived and breathed yoga from a very young age. So the experience was entirely different because it's coming from a different place, something that's really, really deep. So I came back after packing up my life in London, quit my job, really burnt that bridge and said wasn't going to go back to it. Came here initially to do the advanced teacher training, and then have continued to learn myself and develop to the point where I'm now helping Kranti with some of the teaching here. And his whole approach has really revolutionized the way I practice yoga, to be perfectly honest. Before, it was something that I did as a bit of stress release. Yes, I was very interested in the philosophy, but it seemed kind of abstract to me, the study of the sutras and all of this stuff. But then here, something's really changed in the way that I've practiced. It's all become kind of relevant. Something's kind of slotted together, and it's become this whole kind of holistic way of being. I think before there were just like little bits that you'd kind of dip in and out of, and you're like, on an intellectual level, then yes, I understand it. But it's only really when I've spent 6 months here that everything's become integrated, and I've really understood what yoga is, and particularly what yoga is for me. And it's not some sort of lofty dream, something that you're striving towards in terms of, I want to be enlightened. It's like, it's actually this really real kind of sense of liberation, actually. It's like I don't have to fit into these social rules. I don't have to kind of do everything I feel like I should be doing. It's like if you just really listen to yourself and listen to what's in your heart and make your practice what you need it to be, then that feels, for me, what yoga should be. So it's really changed the way that I live my life.
Okay, that was easy for me to start. Okay, wonderful, perfect.